Hello everyone, and welcome to RPG DIY, your channel for all things tabletop gaming. I'm Jay, and today I'm going to do a short crafting video, and we're going to make portrait tokens. Now, you know how much I love miniatures. That's just a small sample. But when you're taking them on the road, that can kind of be burdensome. So I decided to make portrait and creature tokens for running games at conventions that I have to travel to, because it makes it much easier to pack and transport them. So let's get started on that. Okay, pretty simple setup, pretty simple materials. Now, when I started looking into making tokens, one of the first things I did, since I own a resin 3D printer, I decided to see if there was anything on some of the STL websites, like Thangs or Cults or Thingiverse, and by golly, there was a bunch. So I tried some. So some of them are simply like this. They're basically like this one here, which is just the symbol for, this is for a fighter. And what I did was I just printed it in gray, spray painted it black, and then sanded the surface, because this is it's 3D. And so just the surface got the black sanded off so I could see the symbol. That was one. Other ones were similar to where, like here's an adversary. They got a number on there so you can number the tokens. The same thing, spray painted and then sanded the high spots. So that's another way of going. But I wanted something that was a little more colorful. So I found these. These are also 3D printed, and they have the symbol of the class on there for, say, D&D or Pathfinder, but they're raised. The symbol itself is raised up, so you can, it's off of a kind of a cobblestone background, and then you can paint them separately. So those stand out even more. But then I decided I wanted to do the portrait style. So what I found I needed for it is a 1-inch hole punch, and I take the bottom piece off because that way I can line up the circle of the token portrait with that, so I can see where I make sure the edges are correct. And then some super glue was also what I started with. And so what I did was I found a bunch of tokens online, and you can also find pictures and portraits using Google Images and then put them through a token creator, which the site is down in the comments, or I should say in the description. And you can just make your own tokens of any kind you want, which is really handy. And there's also, you can put them on a Word document and line them up and size them if you want. It can take some time. But there's also a token sheet maker, which automatically sizes them at medium, large, whatever you want, and then puts them on the paper for you, so you don't have to do it all yourself. All right, so I did these, and I actually laminated these. You don't have to laminate them, but I just did to start with, because I wanted to make sure they were protected and very bright. And so my first idea was to take and 3D print some bases that have like a lip on them, right? And then I would just take and put the portrait inside the base, and then just glue it down, which is what I did, and that's how I got like this one here, right? And that's great. And then I thought, well, what about maybe protecting a little bit? So I got a bunch of these acrylic discs on Amazon. You get 100 for like $5. And they have like a piece of plastic on both sides, peel away plastic to protect them. But then I took some UV resin, not the kind that goes in a printer, but the clear kind you use for crafting, where you have a small UV light and you put it in the mold and put the UV on it, it hardens instantly. So I took some of that, put the picture in the setting, and then took one of the acrylic discs, and then I put a spot of the UV acrylic on the picture itself, and then pressed the disc down, and it ended up cementing the whole thing, and it kind of gave it a little bit of a plastic cover for you, right? So that was my one way of doing it. But then I hit upon a very simple method, and it's these coin capsules that are just slightly wider than an inch. They're 25 millimeter inside and about 28 millimeter on the outside, so they work really, really well. They're very thin, so you can stack a bunch of tokens together in a container or a Ziploc bag, however you want to do it. And it's as simple as, it's got a little kind of fingernail grab section here on the edge. You just have to find it. And then you pull it apart. It comes apart in two places. And then you just take your 1-inch punch. Like I said, I just line it up so it's the circles within the cutting thing. Cut it out. Now, sometimes this gets really hot, especially with the lamination. So this one didn't quite work out as well as I wanted. But what you do then is I can just take a pair of scissors. Just kind of trimming the excess off that kind of got screwed up during the punching process. Right? Then you just take and you place it in here and put the lid on, and you've got this token. Now, what I also decided to do was to do one better, especially to help save space. I decided to do two different ones. And in fact, I'm just gonna get a different piece of paper out here. Now, this is what the token page thing does for you. It kind of puts them all together just like that. You don't have to do any size adjustment or anything. It does it for you. So I'm going to take these, and this is not laminated, so it's actually easier to cut. So I'm going to take, line up. Ooh, I might have to trim off a little bit. Sometimes you have to trim a little bit off the edges so it'll fit inside the puncher. Now, this is the cheapest puncher I found on Amazon. It was like $5. So if you get a better one, it'll cut better. Punch it out just like that. So we take that one. And then what I would do is I would take and place one face down in here and the other one face up. Then put the two together. And then that way you've got a double-sided token. And the cool thing is you can stack a bunch of these. And I was trying to find some kind of a way, like a tube or something. And the best I could find, at least so far, is this is a jewelry holder. This was like $5. And it came with a bunch of these little containers that are designed to hold beads and things like that. But you can put roughly in these, they're like 3 token high things. So you can fit 3 tokens at least in some other ones I'm doing for Deadlands game. So you can put 3 tokens in the short ones, but they also come with some that have a little bit longer. You can put more in there. And then you can also take out this lid and you can make one giant, you can take all these together and just make one giant tube if you want. But this is a good way to pack. So if you figured 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 times 2, there's technically 30 miniatures right here that you can use on your 2D map board, map book, like the Loki battle map books that I use, because that's what I take with me to cons as well. Because it has all the illustrations. You don't need to bring any 3D terrain if you don't want. So, and that's pretty much it. Now, any of the other techniques that I showed you, you can do, especially if you don't want to do any extra work. The 3D printed kind work really well. I've used those many, many times. And especially if people don't really care about a super accurate representation of the character. And a lot of times when you're at a convention, you have people just dropping in to play a one-shot. So they're not really invested in a miniature like if you have a regular gaming group. So these work really well for that. All right, so there you go. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I've put the links to the token maker and the token page maker that lines them all up so you can just punch them out. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.